Right, let's see what we're at tonight. Let's see who we have online. And let's see what things people want to talk about, because there's a few little bits and bobs, isn't there? Hasn't been a dramatic LFC news day, but there's been a few little bits and bobs. So we'll have a little quick chat, see what people want to have a chat about, and we'll go from there. There's a couple of things, I suppose. Lazio have looked to get Grujic in the door. Hi, Dewey, how are you, mate? Just saying, there's a couple of little things that we could have a chat about tonight. Grujic, Lazio have an interest in him. Obviously, there's the whole goalkeeper situation. There's the links to Nick Pope. Then we've got SHAQIRI possibly coming in the door at Liverpool. So there's lots and lots for us to have a chat about tonight, guys. And I'd be interested to see what's on your minds and what you want to chat about. Hey, Tom, how are you, buddy? Nice to see you. I was just saying, Tom, before I came on, I had a look up, and Lazio apparently have an interest in bringing Marco Grujic to Lazio next season. So what do you think about that one, guys? Do you think it would be a good move for Liverpool, perhaps? Let him go on loan, or would you like to see him stay at the club? Or maybe even go somewhere like Fulham, who he's been linked with as well. Oh, Giwi has some rumours for me. Draxler, Goitze, Grujic, Alisson, SHAQIRI. There's some rumours, plenty of rumours. Which one do you want to start? Where will we start? I suppose we'll start with Alisson. You've seen Sky Sports News come out today and say that they don't think that we're going to go for Alisson in this window. Look, I'm not a big fan of Sky Sports News. Myself and a couple of my mates seem to believe that they just pick up some of their rumours off YouTube or Twitter and just run with them. So in regards to Alisson, I'm going to stick to what I've been saying all along. I can't see Liverpool paying double the world record fee for a goalkeeper at this moment in time, whether that be Alisson or whether that be Oblak. That doesn't mean I don't want us to sign Alisson or Oblak. I would be over the moon for Liverpool to go and sign Alisson Becker, over the moon. But I just can't see it happening. I hate saying that. I hate coming on here and sounding like a moany arse, but I just cannot see Liverpool shelling twice, like not just breaking the world record, but doubling the world record for a goalkeeper. And I've seen people make some amazing points on this and say things like the last record broke for a goalkeeper, times have moved on a lot since then, and you have to pay what they're worth, and no goalkeeper of the quality of these two has really come on the market over the last few years. And that's a good point. You probably have to think back maybe to De Gea to go back to find a goalkeeper as strong and as good as these two are. So that's a good point as well. It doesn't seem like a Liverpool thing to do. And I know people can point and say that we went and spent 75 million quid on Virgil van Dijk, but it was apparent and it was obvious that that was the man Klopp wanted, whereas we haven't really heard or seen anything to suggest that Liverpool really, really, really want Alisson Becker or indeed Jan Oblak. So interesting to see. Javier says Nick Pope, the hero rising from non-league. You got to give credit to anybody, whether it be Jamie Vardy, who I despise with the fire of 1,000 suns, but you got to give him credit, and you got to give Nick Pope credit for bringing themselves up, being told perhaps they weren't good enough when they were younger to make it in the top level, starting at the bottom and working their way up. And as Xavier says there, every respect to the guy, because he deserves it. It's not easy. We've all had rejection in our lives. I've been rejected in football senses, and I wasn't able to do what Nick Pope has done. So yeah, absolutely, you won't hear me slagging him off. Luke says, did you hear the news about Sporting Lisbon? I did indeed, and that was actually something that I had on my list here on my phone, so just bear with me and I'll pull it up. Yeah, the news coming out, and this one came from a guy, I don't know who he is, but I gather he's a Sporting Lisbon fan. He said, news coming out right now saying the national team trio of Bruno Fernandes, William Carvalho and Gelson Martins have just sent in their resignation letters. That is fucking crazy. Excuse my language, but that is absolutely crazy. Like, 3 players, and not just 3 average players, 3 of Sporting Lisbon's top players are after basically resigning and asking for their contracts to be cancelled. I believe there was some issues in Sporting. Weren't they attacked at the training ground or something a while back? I haven't followed this one that closely. I'm just trying to remember little bits and pieces that I've read along the way. But for it to get to a stage, guys, where they're handing in the transfer requests, like they're asking to leave the club, that is absolutely crazy. What do you guys think? I mean, I know it's easy for us to jump on and say, oh, sign Gelson Martins or sign William Carvalho or whatever, but it can't just be that simple. Even if Sporting go and cancel the contracts, you're going to imagine there's going to be court cases, compensation, the club's going to want money. I can't see it being that simple. It just seems like a crazy, crazy situation, and no matter how much we slag off our owners or we slag off how the club is being ran, I mean, we're not in this position, are we? The club isn't a laughing stock. I mean, we went through a really dark period, but to look at what's happening at Sporting Lisbon right before a World Cup, and I'm sure the Portuguese FA are not all happy about this because their players are out there getting ready for the first game. What else we got here? Evan says he's always been curious. Are you conducting this podcast from a chimney? No, I can't say I am. Behind me. Right, the long and short explanation is this. I'm in my bedroom. My house is not that big. We've got lots and lots of... We've got kids and lots of toys everywhere. So I have a little cubby hole here in my room. This is a little bit of temporary wallpaper as such behind me, mate. I will, as time goes by, do it up, put Liverpool stuff and that on it. It's just to give me not a plain white wall in the background. So, not quite in a chimney. Look at me. Do I look like I'd fit in a fucking chimney? I mean, I ain't Santa Claus, but I'm certainly of his weight class, shall we say. But no, not in a chimney, mate. And Xavier wants to know, am I in prison? No. Again, afraid not. I'm quite a good boy, actually, Xavier. So, don't belong in prison, but... Again, I will change this background as time goes on. It's just to stop you guys looking at a horrible white wall, which, is boring as fuck. Ahmed says, Guedes looks like the next Ronaldo. I haven't seen him, mate. Kira says, hi, Craig. Hi, Kira. How are you? Is this our Kira? Is this Connor's Kira? If it is Connor's Kira, then a big hello, Kira. How the hell are you? Even though you're a Chelsea fan, I'm going to out you, because that's what I do. Hello. Philip Lindsay says, and Rui Patricio, goalkeeper, he's done it as well, has he? So that's four of their players that are looking to get out of the club. That is absolutely ridiculous. How can the club allow itself to get into that position? I mean, I know we're on here with Liverpool fans, but a couple of you guys have mentioned Sporting Lisbon. It's just absolutely ludicrous that they've got themselves into this position. A professional team, like a professional club with such a wealth of talent actually on their books at the minute, to allow themselves to get into this position is nuts. Hirsch, haha, Santa Claus, all good, brah. Connor, she's dying laughing here. So it is Kira. It is that Kira. Hello, Kira. How are you? The Jiwi says, have you even heard any Oblak rumours lately? I'll be honest, mate, no. I've never seen anything concrete linking Liverpool to Jan Oblak. I think a lot of it's been just fans putting two and two together and praying to God that it makes four. But no, Alisson, of course, we've seen links to. Obviously the things with Firmino as well, chatting to him when he's playing for Brazil, and we've seen links there throughout the season as well. I keep going back to the same thing. As sad as it sounds and as miserable as it sounds, I just cannot see us paying more than twice the world record for a goalkeeper. It just doesn't seem feasible. And I think we do have the money, by the way, so don't get me wrong on that one. I do truly believe that Liverpool Football Club have the finances to do it. I just, from what I've read and trying to read between the lines and trying to talk to a few people who know a little bit here or there, and I don't claim to at all have any inside knowledge, it just seems that they're really put off by the prices that they're being quoted, apparently. Oblak is fairly straightforward. He has a release clause, as you all know, €100 million. Atletico Madrid are trying to get him to sign a new contract with a €200 million release clause. He seems to be stalling on that for the time being. Alisson's interesting because it seems that Alisson might be pinning his hopes on a Real Madrid move. Again, just me reading between the lines, seeing a few articles and just kind of trying to pick it apart and see how I feel. There's nothing concrete in that. I just have a feeling myself that that's what he might be trying to do. Tom Tanner says, really enjoying the content. Thank you, Tom. And as I always say, it's an absolute pleasure to be on here talking to you guys. So thank you for taking time to tune in. We really appreciate it. As it says there, by the way, on the screen, if you guys like what we're doing and you haven't already done so, please do hit that subscribe button, because it helps us grow the channel, helps us meet more Reds like you, and keeps Connor off my back. And that's the most important part. Because Connor mightn't say this, but Connor's a bully. Connor's a thug. Connor mightn't say this, but Connor is a thug. He bullies the shit out of me. I'm only on here because he won't let me have a break. Did you believe that? No, I'm only joking. The Sporting owner is mad. He called the whole squad shite, basically. We should be all over them. Fantastic show, by the way. Thank you, Ant. And yeah, I've kind of read about the Sporting owner as well. As I said, I've only picked up little bits and pieces, but anybody who lets it get to this position is a head case, isn't it? Like, can you imagine this happening at Liverpool? John Dundee, Henry gone, Firmino shit, Mane shit, Salah shit. You can all fuck off and leave the club. Just go. And I apologise if my language, by the way, does offend anybody. I do apologise, but it is me and it is who I am, and it's how I tend to express myself, rightly or wrongly. I try and speak like a football fan, and this is how I speak when I'm watching football. So please just let me know if I am. I'll try and tone it down, but I'll put a bit of a disclaimer up. I do tend to curse a little bit. Paul Gormley says, I think we should not have any more leaks in the Fekir shambles of the rest of our signings like Fabinho. Yeah, how beautiful was it, Paul, when that Fabinho signing came out? Or Fabinho, I'm still trying to get my pronunciation of that one correct. Fabinho, yeah, when that came out, it was amazing, wasn't it? You're just sitting there, you're seeing tenuous links, and then all of a sudden he's there, he's holding up the shirt, and you're like, oh my god, that's amazing. I still remember that night Van Dijk signed, even though we knew we were linked to him and we knew it was dragging out, and that night just seeing him standing there under the Christmas tree, I mean, I went straight onto Periscope, did a video, and I was nearly crying. That's how happy I was. And as you've rightly said, Paul, it's amazing when transfers are done behind the scenes like that. We all like the fun, the chase. We watch planes, follow silver Mercedes vans or whatever. But it is right. You are right. It is spot on when the club can just go behind everyone's back as such and just get a transfer done. And it helps. It stops, I suppose, the price rising as well. But that was never going to happen with Fekir and Olas, because there's no way the Leon president's going to let that go. He likes publicity. He likes to try and drum up the fee as much as he can. He's kind of, I keep comparing him to Daniel Levy in that he tries to squeeze every last pound out of a deal, and that's no bad thing. I can understand it from his point of view, but I'd say Liverpool certainly did try to keep that one as quiet as possible. Luke Smalling says hashtag Connor out. Yeah, I'm all over that hashtag. I'll be sharing that on social media as soon as I'm finished, Luke. You have my word. Xavier says Sporting Lisbon is also the club which provided the most players to the World Cup. Fun fact, Ronaldo of course came from their academy. I'll give you another fun fact for Sporting Lisbon actually as well. Ronaldo used to hold the sprint record for Sporting Lisbon, but that was actually broken by the young guy that Liverpool bought, and I keep forgetting his name here, the centre back who didn't even get any breakthrough at Liverpool. Jesus, how can I not remember his name now? We sent him out on loan, then he sent back. It'll come to me in a minute, but yeah, that centre back that we did sign, the young guy, he broke Ronaldo's 100 metres or 110 metres record at Sporting Lisbon. But that is a really good fact that they've sent the most players to the World Cup. Wow, just goes to show you how good a club they are and how deep their squad depth is, particularly with young players. And they do bring through some amazing Brazilian players as well. Mikel says, any good news on Fekir? Mate, I'm not going to come on and lie. I've absolutely nothing for you. Nothing at all. I would just say what we've reiterated on the podcast time and time again. It doesn't seem to be over. You've seen nothing from Liverpool Football Club. And if you can imagine, if you fail the medical, you will get something from Liverpool Football Club. They will have released something to say that the deal fell through, or they would have let it leak to their sources. But the Melissa Reddys, the James Pearces, the Paul Joyces, we've seen nothing at all from them. Actually, their timelines have been really quiet over the past 36 hours. I think the only one I've seen do something was Melissa Reddy did kind of interact with somebody who called her out on the Fekir deal and say how was she to know what was going to happen and stuff like that. But look, I don't think this one's done. I think we're going to see more on this one. It doesn't seem to have the feeling of something that's over. It would just be nice for us all to know what the hell is going on, and I think that's what's annoying or frustrating a lot of us. We've seen people come on, and I could come on here and tell you what I've read, and I could come on here and fill you full of bullshit, but it's not what I'm going to do. I'm like you guys. I'm a fan. I'm out there trying to pick out all the bits of information. Yeah, there's going to be some I like, and there's going to be some I want to hear. There might be some I don't want to hear, but you got to try and read through it and pick through it and take what you can from it. And the only thing I can suggest is that I don't see this being over. I don't see it being over. The SHAQIRI thing as well, by the way. I'll read through a couple more comments in a moment. I just want to have a quick chat about SHAQIRI. I've seen a couple of journalists try to suggest that SHAQIRI is a replacement for Nabil Fekir, and he is not. He is absolutely not. The links to Sheridan SHAQIRI were there before Fekir, or around the same time as Fekir. The only reason the club are looking at that move is simply because of the £12 million release clause due to Stoke City being relegated. That move is, if you want to call it, a bench strengthener. That's to try and bulk up the squad. It's somebody to bring on in the last 20 minutes. Yeah, he might start a couple of games as well. He might try and break a low block defence at times when we're playing we're playing somebody like a Burnley or somebody who tries to sit deep. But just don't believe that, by the way, guys. Do not believe that he's an alternative to Nabil Fekir. He is not. If we sign him, which it looks like we may well do, he's just like the cream on top of the pie. Don't worry about it. It's just a little extra thing for 12 million quid. So don't fall for that one. Let me just have a read through. Coates, thank you, Ahmed. Thank you very much, mate. It was indeed Sebastian Coates, but that's not the guy I'm actually talking about. Coates was a centre back, actually. Sorry, no, he was a Uruguayan centre back. You're right, but he's not the guy I'm talking about. I still can't think of the guy's name. Anybody help me out on this one? It's not Sebastian Coates, as Ahmed had said. It is, God almighty, how can I not think of this guy's name? If anybody of you guys can have a Google of it, let me know, because it's going to annoy me all day. Eugene says, I'm a Red from Indiana, USA. Love the show and appreciate the news on the best club in the world. Eugene, mate, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do. You'll get updates to all our latest stuff, and you'll get notifications, and you'll see lots of content coming on over the next while. Xavier says, and sources in France say that he was trying to make Nabil Fekir his record outgoing. That would make sense as well. Eugene wants to know any backup options if Fekir isn't coming. I'd just be lying to you. I've seen people even try and say things like Lanzini. I mean, Lanzini's just done his ACL, so obviously Lanzini isn't going to be a replacement because he could be out for possibly 6 months. So you're going to see a lot, folks. You're going to see a lot of bullshit. You're going to see people putting out links. They want you to click on these links. They're going to put out nonsense transfer stories. You're going to see betting companies trying and leak things as well to get the odds up. Just try and stick to what I try and say all the time is stick to the big three. Stick to the Melissa Reddy, the Paul Joyces and the James Pearces. They might not always get 100%, but they've got their finger on the pulse of Liverpool Football Club, and they try to be as honest and print what they believe to be the truth. So I'd certainly say keep your eye on those 3 accounts if you're on social media, particularly on Twitter. Thiago Ilori, Xavier, bing, 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 that's the one. Thiago Ilori. How could I not think of his name? He indeed is the player who broke Ronaldo's sprint record at Sporting Lisbon. Thank you, Xavier. That's perfect, mate. And that would have done my head in. And also Harvey as well. You had it there. And so did Ant. So did Ahmed. So did Philip Lindsay. Thank you, guys. You've all put me to shame. Thiago Ilori. How long did it take, actually, when you guys seen his name? Were you like me and you see the capital I, the double L, and you're like, well, how, is it E-E-E-R-E? Or I've seen people, even the whole time he was at the club, weren't able to even write his name because they weren't sure how it was pronounced. Dale Croft says, hi Connor, I love the show as always. I think if you manage your required signings and points you think Liverpool will achieve, will smash 100%. I'm Craig, but thank you. Connor is the magician in the background that does all the great work, makes all the amazing logos, and has done a couple of shows as well, so easily confused. What I will say, Dell, is whether we'll reach 100 points or not, I don't know, mate. That is a big task, and Manchester City did tremendously well this season to hit that. I think the important thing to remember for next season is we got to stop Manchester City from hitting 100 points. And when I say we, I don't just mean Liverpool Football Club, because obviously we're only responsible for 6 points against Manchester City. But I think it's up to other teams in the Premier League to up their game and not just roll over, because a lot of teams just rolled over and let Manchester City, just gave up. They just didn't even try. So I think if the league ups their game a bit next year and people try and be a little bit more competitive, because it is a competitive league, but last season Manchester City just strolled away with it. So I think it's a collective responsibility that everybody has to try to be a little bit more competitive. I mean, Manchester United are obviously going to strengthen. Spurs are going to do their best to. Chelsea, God, Lord knows what's happening at Chelsea. I mean, nobody knows, but you can be assured that Manchester City will have to work a lot harder next season, I think, to reach 100 points. And if Liverpool, no, I'm going to say no, we won't reach 100 points next year, if I'm being honest. I mean, the target for Liverpool next year should probably be the mid to high 80s, I would say. If we can hit mid to high 80s, we'll be there or thereabouts at the end of the season, I think. What else have we got? Pulisic makes a lot of sense business-wise with the American owners. Ahmed, mate, Pulisic is the dream for me. We've done videos on Christian Pulisic. I've come on here and talked about him. We've done podcasts about him. He ticks every box. He's the dream signing for, I think, myself and lots of other Liverpool fans, particularly American fans, who want to see their star on the biggest stage in the world. And I'm not by any means slating Borussia Dortmund, because they're a tremendous football club who I have a lot of affection for. But yeah, Christian Pulisic in a Liverpool shirt with the marketing power of FSG and this club behind him, the US men's national team. I mean, we could take him to a whole new level, and he can certainly open up doors for us in the American markets and stuff. So it would be an absolutely amazing bit of business. Dale says, sorry, Connor. Yeah, I'm sure he's not too upset. Xavier says 103 points next season. You heard it here first. If we get 103 points, Xavier, I'm gonna track you down. I'm gonna shake your hand, buddy, because that would be some show. If we break 100 points next season, the drinks are on me. Let's put it that way. And I promise you, I'll send a couple of points your way. Or if you're too young, I'll send something your way if we break 100 points next season. Luke says he wouldn't mind Sancho from Dortmund. I've seen that name mentioned actually a lot, and I have seen bits and pieces of him this season, but not enough to again come on and make a valid shout from to join Liverpool or not. I'd be lying again. There's so many good young footballers though, isn't there, around at this moment in time. Yeah, there's so many. Like you look at the players who are after coming up to the Belgian and French leagues in the last year or two. We're seeing that guy as well. I keep calling him Daddy because I can't remember his name. Moses Simon. We've seen links to him as well, and we've seen people dismiss those links simply because he's not good enough because he plays for Ghent. Well, if you think back a year or two, was it Leon Bailey playing for Ghent, I believe, a year ago, and look where he is now, and people are falling over themselves trying to sign him from Bayer Leverkusen. So I'd say don't just write off players because of the league they play in. If you look right back, Sadio Mane as well started his career at Salzburg and worked his way from there. Well, he may have had a club before Salzburg, but the Salzburg's the first club I'm aware of him playing for. And look at him now at Liverpool, and he's had a long road to get there. So I will say, don't just write off players because of the league they're in. If you do see links, have a look at it. Maybe look back and see if we've had any links with him in the past, because we have looked at Moses Simon. We looked at him 3-4 years ago, I believe, and we followed him through the system. So this wasn't a new link. I will say that. So just keep an eye out for things like that as well. Luke says, do you think we'll make a signing before the World Cup? Yes, I do. That signing may well be SHAQIRI, so maybe not one that many people will get excited about. It may not be SHAQIRI. I just have a feeling if we're going to make a signing before the World Cup, it will probably be him. And for £12 million, I keep saying that you don't get a lot for £12 million. You get the occasional Andy Robertson, of course, which is amazing. But £12 million, he's a great bit of business, and I think it'd be a great buy for the club at £12 million. I mean, even if you got 10 good games out of him a season, I mean, it's surely got to be worth the money. Xavier says, Craig, get that Masterson shirt next season, future Irish captain, and yes, send over some points to celebrate. I'm in short supply. Conor Masterson has a really bright future, and I know Jurgen Klopp thinks highly of him. I believe he was in the Champions League final, not the squad as such. If not, he was very close to the squad, but he was certainly in the group that travelled over, and I know a lot of the kids went, but Jurgen Klopp thinks very, very highly of Conor Masterson, and as you said, Xavier, he could well be a future Irish captain, and I hope from a selfish point of view he makes it at Liverpool, because it's been a while since we had some Irish blood in a Liverpool shirt. We had the nearest thing we probably had was Rodgers, and he's Northern Irish as the manager. But yeah, great shout, mate. It'd be interesting to see how he gets on next season. Perhaps alone, maybe to try and get him some experience. But Connor says Liverpool have made a £65 million bid for Alisson while offering him the guarantee that he would start. Real Madrid are interested, but haven't offered assurances over his status, according to Terra Brazil. Now, I'll reiterate what Connor just put up there. Liverpool have apparently made a £65 million bid for Alisson, whilst offering him the guarantee that he'd start and play first-team football. Madrid are interested, but haven't quite offered him the assurances over his status. And that's according to Terra in Brazil. So, Connor, thank you. Thank you for putting that in the chat, mate. Just talking about Real Madrid for a moment. People might automatically assume that if Real Madrid are in for a player, we can compete. Well, just remember that Real Madrid's top priority this season is Neymar. Real Madrid are looking to maybe go as far as €300 million, if you're to believe what's been written in the papers. But Neymar is top of Real Madrid's list. And all of their money, if not a huge chunk of their transfer funds, will be going to try and get Neymar. So they will be holding off doing any other big business until they get a definite yes or a no on Neymar, and they know what's going to happen with Gareth Bale. They're going to try and push Bale out the door, perhaps, to make money, I suppose, and make a place in the squad and free up wages to get Neymar in. But certainly don't. If Liverpool are interested in Alisson, and I don't know how serious, I'm just reading what Connor put up on the screen as a link. If we are interested, we probably have a better shot at trying to get a deal done quicker than Atletico Madrid do. I'm not saying we've a better chance of convincing we're the better club, but I think we might have a possibility of getting the deal done a little bit quicker than Real Madrid. So interesting to see if that's true or not, but if it is true, then Connor will have certainly made my night, and I'm sure many other Liverpool fans' nights around the world, because that would be amazing, wouldn't it? James Bauer says, well, it's not that we don't want SHAQIRI, but we don't want his purchase to stop another blockbuster signing. Yes, James, I agree, mate, and it won't. Not that my guarantee is worth anything, but what I will say is this was always going to be a signing, no matter of Fekir being signed, or another wide player being signed, or an attacking mid being signed. SHAQIRI is purely there because he's 12 million quid because of the Stoke relegation clause. So if he comes in, it won't be at the expense of anybody else. That much I can assure you of, because he's the little extra signing, the little bonus signing, maybe the experienced player you see come in for small money, but he definitely will not be stopping a Fekir or somebody else coming in, so don't worry about that. Paul Gormley says apparently we've just bid £57 million for Alisson. Thank you, Paul. Connor put something similar in the chat. Probably the same deal, just one in euros, one in pound. So again, really interesting to see if that's the case. Great news if it is. How does anybody know? Has Roma replied? Have we seen a response from Roma or any feedback from whether this may well be accepted or whether we'd have to go deeper and put our hands in our pockets a little bit more? Connor saying other rumours suggesting Real want Oblak. That might be a tricky deal to make, Connor. No, not if they pay his release clause. To be fair though, actually, if they pay his release clause, then Atletico can't really do much, can they? Ahmed says, thank you, Real Madrid, for the motivation. We will conquer all of Europe again. Yeah, I'm telling you what, we're on a roll, buddy. I mean, look at this Liverpool team. Look at the feeling around the club. Look at the players. Look how much they're enjoying playing for the manager. I mean, there is that real trilogy now, isn't there? That holy trinity that we've heard spoken about before. It sounds cheesy as hell, but it is true. You've got the manager and the ownership of the club. You've got the players and you've got the fans. And they really are all pulling in the one direction. And the future is bright. The future for Liverpool Football Club is immensely bright. And I am so, so happy to be a Red because we've served our time. We've had our shitty days. We've had our down days. The future is very, very bright for Liverpool. Philip thinks Alisson is a pipe dream. Sadly, Philip, I agree. I said it at the very start of the broadcast. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. If they do get him, wow, amazing. And if this bid is true, I'll be blown away. But I do think it's probably a little bit far-fetched for me. But I hope to God I'm proven wrong. I see us maybe going for that Leno. I don't know about Pope. I have no idea. You've seen him mentioned today. I'd say no. Purely because we can't be gambling on another goalkeeper, as good as he might be, playing for Burnley and taking that step up to play for Liverpool. And I know I said earlier on, don't write off players that start in the lower leagues or they're playing at a lower league, but this is a goalkeeper. This is a very, very important position where you can't afford to have a mistake. You can afford to have a forward miss a few shots, a midfielder have a bad game. But the way our goalkeeper situation is at the minute, we need as close to a guarantee as we can get when we're buying a goalkeeper. Jason says Jack Grealish of Villa, we should think about him. If I remember correctly, Spurs or Leicester are linked to Jack Grealish, and I mean linked in a very strong way, possibly very close. I think Villa are just looking at their finances to see how badly they need to sell because they didn't get promoted and money is very tight for Villa because they put a big push into trying to get back into the Premier League this season. So do keep an eye on Jack Grealish because very talented footballer. I think it might be Spurs if memory serves me correct, but there's certainly interest in him from Premier League clubs. Xavier says Champions League final Madrid next season, the revenge. You know what though? Apart from the revenge, I think it's in Atletico's ground, isn't it? It's in the Wanda Metropolitano, which is an amazing ground. So I'd love to go there if Liverpool do. When Liverpool do get to the Champions League final next year. So you'll see me in the Wanda Metropolitano if they get there because I couldn't get over this time. I've been to the last two before this one and I could not get to Kiev this year purely from a financial aspect. Luke says, a random thought, but it's a real shame Carrasco went to China for 20 odd million. Would have been a good fit. I mean, how ridiculous is that? How ridiculous is a player as talented as Carrasco going to China? It just tells you he's interested in one thing and one thing only. And that brings me on actually to another player that we were linked with. You guys have probably seen this. Some of you might not have. I meant to talk about it the other day, but I completely forgot. Anderson Talisca has also gone to, was it Gwangju Evergrande or whatever they're called? He's gone over there from Benfica on a Benfica via Besiktas on a 6-month loan deal. So Talisca won't be coming to the Premier League this summer, Manchester United or Liverpool. He's after going over to China, signing on a 6-month loan deal. So that's another player we can cross off our list, folks. Anderson Talisca gone to China. Ahmed asks about Donnarumma. AC Milan certainly need to sell players, mate. They're in huge trouble with FFP. Could look at being kicked out of the European competition. Could possibly be looked at being docked points maybe in the league. They could certainly even look at going into administration. They're in serious trouble. Their owners have, the way they've gone about financing the club has been pretty fucking dodgy. So Donnarumma is definitely up for sale. I think 35-40 million quid buys Donnarumma. So it's then just a question of, is Donnarumma good enough? And my answer to that is I've seen both sides of Donnarumma. I've seen him make worldies and I've seen him make the most ridiculous, and I'm talking Carrius Champions League final type errors. So a goalkeeper that in 3-4 years time I'd have no questions, no qualms about us buying him, but we probably couldn't buy him. So it's a pretty hard question, Ahmed, and one that I would definitely be sitting on the fence on. I'd take him over Pope, though. I will say that much. I'd take him over Pope, and I'd take him over Jack Butland. But apart from that, I wouldn't put him in the same category as Alisson and an Oblak. Not by a long shot. James says Pope could be another Mignolet, and that's the problem, isn't it? We've seen Mignolet. It's a lot easier to look good at Sunderland when you're facing 25 shots a game or 20 shots a game and saving most of them. But when you're playing for Liverpool and you've nothing to do for long periods of time, whether that be 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but you have to keep focus, you have to keep concentration for that one time when you are needed in the first half, or that one back pass that comes your way that you have to kind of take a chance with, or that you have to move quickly. You just have to be so switched on, and that's so hard to do as a goalkeeper if you've got nothing to do, to stay mentally focused and switched on. Only the top level goalkeepers can do that. So it's a good point. Mignolet looked good again at Sunderland, but big difference between looking good at a team that's on the back foot for a lot of the game and a team like Liverpool who are on the attack and their keepers have very little to do. Jason Johnson says Teixeira went to China as well. Yeah, you see a lot of South Americans go to China and chase the money, and you know what? It's easy for us to sit here, I suppose, and slag them off, but we will never experience the absolute hardship and the financial hardship that some South American footballers will have experienced. You see stories about Suarez and stuff not being able to afford boots, and other players like playing the favelas of Brazil, for instance, and kicking footballs on streets, and sometimes not even having a football and learning to have to play with a tennis ball. They've gone through poverty and tough times that most of us will never experience. So for them, they're not just supporting themselves, their wife and the kids, or maybe their parents. They're supporting the community at times, and the fear of them going poor or becoming poor again and not being able to support these people overwhelms them, and you can understand why some of them chase the money. So as I said, it's easy for us to sit here and slag them off, and I've slagged some of them off at times as well, but we will never have experienced the poverty that some of these guys have went through in their life. So for them to be able to set their families up for 3-4 generations will mean so much to them. So sometimes maybe they're going to sacrifice the medals in their career to go and chase that money because it means a lot, and they're so afraid of going back to poverty. And what else have we got? Donnarumma on the cheap, I'd accept. Comes in from Nathan, and yeah, I would as well. I mean, if you could pick Donnarumma up for 30 or 35 million quid, it's entirely reasonable to take a gamble. It's just, would our fans be happy? Or would we be able to accept that we're probably going to see another Karius? We're probably going to see another 3-4 hours from him this season, but in 2-3 years time he might be on a par with De Gea, or he might be up there with the Jan Oblaks of this world. So long term signing, he'd be brilliant. I just worry about the patience of our fan base to give him the time he needs to settle in. Hiya Brian, nice to see you again, mate. Brian says there is a dearth of top level attacking midfielders. Isco and Asensio will be perfect, but Madrid will never sell them. Asensio especially will be a like-for-like of Fekir alternative with no drop in quality. You're right about them being top quality players. It'd be interesting to see what happens with Isco now that Zinedine Zidane is gone, because Isco had to move heaven and earth to get into that team under Zidane. Zidane just seriously didn't like him, so he had to work really hard to get into that team. Excuse me. And it'll be interesting to see who comes in as the Real Madrid manager. I think Guti is the one who everybody believes is going to come in. So again, that'll be another promotion from down within the youth setup. I know he used to manage was it the B team or the under 18s or something at Real Madrid. So if Guti comes in, I think everybody will want to see where they fit into that Real Madrid squad before they think about moving on. But you are right, Brian, there is a load of attacking midfielders out there in Europe that can be bought and brought in. It's just so interesting, and I know we keep coming back to Nabil Fekir, don't we? But what has stopped this deal from happening? What is it? Is it that Liverpool got greedy and they seen that they could perhaps negotiate after the issue with his knee or the rebuilding of his ACL? I firmly believed when I came on here the other night that it wasn't the knee with the ACL. I'd been told by 2 or 3 other people that yes, there was a problem with the knee, but it isn't the ACL. I think it was his left knee. It was his other knee. Again, I could well be wrong. I look like I most probably am wrong. But it's really interesting to see if it's Olas taking a gamble that he has a great World Cup and his value goes up, or that somebody else comes in and they get a lot more from. Or if he does that though, there's every chance Fekir turns around and says, mate, I can go to this World Cup. I might bag a worldie, scored 3 in the final, but I'm telling you right now that the only football club I'm joining is Liverpool Football Club. And then his whole negotiating goes out the window. Olas knows that he just wants Liverpool. And then you look at it, and I've heard people suggest that maybe Liverpool are the ones that are holding off on a deal to see how his knee holds up in the World Cup. That makes no sense to me. That would be utter madness for Liverpool to do that. Because you're going to piss off the player massively. A player who, as we know, has done the club interview, even picked out his club number. He's done his interviews for LFC TV. There's images taken of him in the club kit. It just seems madness. And I cannot imagine that it's Liverpool that are causing whatever this issue is. I just cannot imagine that Liverpool will leave Nabil Fekir high and dry for no reason whatsoever. And if it was a medical reason, I'm sure we'd know about it, because I'm sure the respected journalists would have got a nod and a wink from the club to let them know, look, we're stepping away because of this, or we're going to try and renegotiate because of this. But from our point of view, there's been absolutely nothing. And while Liverpool Football Club say nothing, I'll never rule out that this deal can't be resurrected. Luke says, here's one for the future. Bradley Deck plays for Blackburn after signing from Gillingham. And is an English beauty. As I'm from Gillingham, I was able to watch him regularly, and he was class. Well, thank you, Luke. I'll certainly have a look at him. I'll have a Google of him, have a few YouTube videos, and see what he looks like. Who's the young guy from Norwich that we were linked to? Madison. Did he have an injury at the end of the season that's going to keep him out for a while? Because we were strongly linked with him, weren't we? And he's a fantastic player. I mean, a really, really good player. I watched him play a few times last year, but like all of you, I've probably watched his YouTube videos and seen how good he is. But he certainly seemed a player that, if I'm correct, had an injury at the end of last season that might be keeping him out. But another player who will most certainly move to the Premier League this season. What else have we got? Who else have we got here? Harvey says, if we agree to fee, done as medical, and the media, why pull out? It has to be them, or the deal is just confirmed after the World Cup. The deal being confirmed after the World Cup just wouldn't really make any sense. Just from a point of view of the fume that Liverpool fans are going through, for our club not to say something, it wouldn't make sense. It has to be. I can't see how it isn't Leon in my head, and it's only in my head. I cannot see how it's not Leon. But I also think that they're in a very poor negotiating position at this point. I think the cards, if it's a negotiation, are certainly all with Liverpool, particularly if Nabil Fekir has his heart set on the club, which we know he does. Brian says, I only wish last season, in anticipation of Coutinho leaving with big money, we had 70-80 million quid for Asensio at the end of last summer, and also bid 30 to 35 million quid to Pulisic. You can take your 30 to 35 million quid and probably double it, maybe treble it, and that's the type of money you're talking about to buy Christian Pulisic. Because if we buy Christian Pulisic, it's going to be Ousmane Dembele style money, I'd say. I mean, it's going to be in excess of £80 million, I think, to buy Christian Pulisic. And from what I'm reading and what I'm hearing, and we might be just a season too early there, but I think he's the long-term target for Liverpool Football Club. And I know people are going to say that he's a Manchester United fan. Well, he had a trial at Liverpool when he was younger, and apparently he really enjoyed himself. So he has spent some time at Liverpool. So definitely one to keep an eye on for the future. But I think your price there, Brian, with all due respect, maybe you're talking about last year's money. So if you are, I apologise. I just think you're going to be probably talking the Asensio money, if not more, for Christian Pulisic. Luke thinks Maddison has a knee injury, and that's what I thought as well, Luke. Fekir obviously won't sign because FSG are Brexiteers and want a full English team. FSGO, hashtag conspiracy theory. Connor, come on. You're better than that. We love FSG, buddy. Not money messing. I have seen people say things like that about FSG though. I mean, I'm on the fence when it comes to FSG. I say they've done good things, they've done bad things. They've developed the club. We can have this chat another time, but for people to say that we're penny pinching, I think is absolute bullshit. There's no way the club are just penny pinching. There's a reason for whatever's happening, and it isn't just because the club are trying to save 5 or 10 million quid. And if they are and it works, then I'm wrong, and it's great. Michael Edwards deserves a knighthood, a pat on the back, whatever we want to give him. What else have we got here? Sturridge won't find another club. If Fekir's knee is supposedly a wrist, and I'm worried about that as well, and I'm worried about what's going to happen with Daniel Sturridge. Besiktas, I think he's been linked to, or Galatasaray, or a Turkish team anyway. There's been a strong link from Liverpool, maybe even just cancelling his contract and letting him go to that Turkish club. So keep an eye on that one. Jason says, Brian, we need a scout in Brazil. That's where we're going to find. We have a scout in Brazil. We have a South American scout. I can't think of who his name is at the minute. Is it Batistuta? Is Batistuta our South American scout for Liverpool Football Club? I think I might be correct in that one, but we certainly have a scout. The problem with Brazilian players, Jason, is it's the visa. It's getting them into the club. We've seen it with the young guy we brought in who we've had to loan out for the last 2.5 years. The guy D'Souza, I can't remember his first name now, or we brought in who we think very, very highly of, but we had to loan him out. I think he was in Cyprus last year or somewhere as well, in some really shitty league. So the likes of Spain and Italy, and I think Portugal particularly, much, much easier for them to get visas for Brazilian and South American footballers. So that's why, and I think then there's also a lot of strong links with, who's that? Kia Jarapchin, I believe, has huge links with Shakhtar Donetsk, I believe. I think he brings a lot of players from South America, a lot of promising players over to that team and brings them through the Shakhtar system, gets them experience, and then gets them moves on for big money. So I wouldn't worry about Liverpool having scouts in Brazil. I can guarantee we certainly do. James Bowers have said, FSG have turned this club around. They saved us from Hicks and Gillette. And they did. And they really did. And there's no denying that they got the club cheap. They got the club for £230 odd million, which now looks ridiculous. But they put their money on the table. They're the ones who put down the bid that the club were happy to accept. They had RBS. They paid that debt and they were happy to, RBS were happy to deal with them. And they did save us. They stopped us from going into administration. And slowly but surely, they've developed the club. And they've built on what they've learned. And they've made mistakes. And we are where we are. And where we are is in a very good position. With a manager who I wouldn't change for anybody else in the world. With a first 11 that is certainly as strong as any other first 11 in the Premier League. We need squad depth. We're aware of that. We're going to try and do that this summer by the looks of it. But we are certainly a very, very, very strong brand and club at this moment in time who are on the up. So as James has said, they did turn the club around. They do deserve credit. And if they sell in 2, 3, 4 years and get a 500% markup on their money, well, you know what? Fair play to them. Because they'll have earned their money, because they'll have developed the club, they'll have built us as a worldwide brand, they'll have changed their marketing, they'll have put much more money for the turnstiles, and will have be a much more attractive club for future players and for somebody to come and invest in. So, yeah, I agree with James, they've done a lot for the club. Luke says, I think it's for people to say penny pinching when it's not their money. That is true as well, isn't it? But you can look at it the other way as well. You can see people just say, just spend it. It's only 5 million or it's only 7 million. But if you look at these 5 and 7 millions, that could be the difference between us getting that SHAQIRI, that extra little player to fill out the squad, to fill out the bench. Alan D'Souza, thank you. God, you guys are so good. You're putting me to shame. The knowledge that you guys have. I mean, you guys often come on here and say thank you to us for the news and stuff and the information, but don't ever put yourselves down. You guys are top notch. Jesus Christ. And it was brilliant. You're putting me to shame again, guys. Well done. Great knowledge. I mean, you guys really know your stuff about Liverpool Football Club, so give yourself a round of applause because it's top notch. Harvey says, I'd love Fekir, but I'm sure we won't find him, or I'm sure we'll be fine without him, excuse me, and we could even put Naby at the 10 role. And that's a good point as well. Naby is capable of playing that, Harvey, so spot on. Naby Keita is capable of playing what we call the 8, and he's certainly capable of pushing forward and breaking lines as well, and he knows how to play a pass. Whether he'd have the guile or the quality of a Coutinho or maybe even a peak Adam Lallana, I don't know. But he can certainly do a job there. And he would also allow Jordan Henderson then perhaps to slot into the 8 if needed, or Gini Wijnaldum. So yeah, we're not really that short in that central midfield position. A bit of creativity or somebody who could perhaps cover for the front 3 would certainly be welcome, but it's not the end of the world. For me, the goalkeeper, and I'd like to know if you guys think the same, the goalkeeper is the be-all and end-all of this summer for Liverpool Football Club. Whatever else has happened, Fabinho is an amazing signing. We already have Naby Keita, but the goalkeeper, before we went into the summer, the goalkeeper was the position that I had my heart set on and was the position that I felt our whole summer is going to be defined by. So I'd be interested to see if you guys think the same. But for me, if we go through this summer and we do not sign a quality goalkeeper, it might not have to be an Alisson or an Oblak, but somebody who we can say to ourselves, you know what, we've upgraded here, we've definitely done well, then this summer has been an absolute failure for me. And I won't go as far as to say all the other business is pointless, but we'll still have that gaping hole at the back. Jason says yes, the goalkeeper. Maverick says Leno or Rui Patricio, and two good names, two great shouts. I'd probably side for Leno purely because I probably watched him more, and I do love a German goalkeeper, I'm not going to lie. It's just something about the assurance you get from most German goalkeepers. I can hear you throwing Karius at me now, guys, as well. But I mean, there was that whole group of goalkeepers as well. There was Timo Horn, there was Leno, there was Karius. You've got Neuer. We spoke about this before. There's the guy that's at PSG as well. There's just a dearth of talent in German goalkeepers, isn't there? Kaiser says, let's be honest, Milner, Karius, Jordan and Lovren are not the players to take his places. Well, look, Milner, I think we can all agree, is in the twilight of his career and had a really good season last season. Karius, Kaiser, I'm going to agree with you on. Henderson, I disagree with you on, because I'm not a Henderson fanboy and I'm not going to come on here and say Jordan Henderson's the best player in the world, but just never underestimate the complexity of the role Jordan Henderson has to play in that Liverpool midfield and how hard it is to play that position under Jurgen Klopp. There's no denying we could probably improve on him, but Jordan Henderson deserves to be in this squad and is good enough to be in this squad, and I hope to God he keeps the armband as well. Lovren is Marmite, isn't he? I mean, we know he has that error in him, but you look at him in the Champions League final, he was probably our best player. And after that Spurs debacle, which is what it was, Kaiser, he was awful in that Spurs game. I think he had a pretty good season after that, and I think Dejan Lovren has it in him, especially alongside somebody like Van Dijk, to be led and to be shown how to defend properly. He just needs to stop diving in, and by that I don't mean last ditch tackles. I mean, he tries to do a Van Dijk and step in front of the ball and read the play a lot of the time, and if he does step forward and he gets beaten, then they're straight in behind. But I'd agree with most of them. I do think Henderson and Lovren have a place in the squad though, and that's just my opinion. Excuse me. Harvey says, why not Courtois from Chelsea? His contract is up. Don't think his contract is up. Happy to be proved wrong on that. I just don't think it is. Courtois has his heart set on a move back to Madrid. He has a child, I believe it's a daughter, a young child, and the child's mother, they live in Madrid, and he's come out and said Madrid is where his heart is. Whether that's back to Atletico or whether that's to Real Madrid, I don't know. But I do know Courtois has always said he'd like to go back to Madrid and that's where his heart is because his child is there. Ahmed says, you'll never walk alone and all, but you just can't go to next season with Karius as the number one. And you know what, mate? You're probably just voicing what the majority of Liverpool fans think. And here's an interesting one for you guys, actually. We put out a vote on the Anfield Agenda Twitter account. We put it out a few hours ago, maybe 4 or 5 hours ago. So what I asked in the vote was, I said Liverpool are being quoted twice the world record for a goalkeeper, so around 80 million quid to sign Alisson or Jan Oblak. Do you think Liverpool should A, pay the money, B, refuse and look elsewhere, or C, that you don't know? And before I came on here and I checked, the leading vote was B, shouldn't pay the money for the goalkeeper. 42% I think it was, against 33 and something else, whatever the other number adds up to. So most people in the vote, well, the leading contender in the vote was for us not to pay that 80 million quid. That people believed it's too much money for Liverpool to be asked to pay for a goalkeeper. And I was shocked. I thought that we were going to see a landslide for people to say, just pay the money, get the goalkeeper, just pay what they're asking and get him. So very, very interesting there, guys. And there was over 1,000 votes on this last time I checked, so it's quite a good cross-section of Liverpool fans. Ben says, anybody else wanting to keep Karius? He showed throughout last season that he has potential. Yes, Ben, I do want to keep Karius. I just don't want him as next season starting number one. But certainly want to keep him at the club as our number two, with a view to maybe him challenging the goalkeeper going forward. Maverick says, Alisson's too expensive, not worth more than £50 million. Anything more is burning cash. Particularly for a keeper with only 1 year's first team experience in Serie A, who came in to replace Wojciech Szczesny, who went to Juventus. So for them to ask for the money they might do for 1 year, it's understandable why people might think it's too much money. Ahmed says, Alisson let 7 in against us, did kind of fail his trial. And you know what? I can't argue with that. He did, and he didn't look great in either of the 2 games against us. I mean, if Loris Karius went down for that second Salah goal like he did, I'd be screaming at him, because he went down far too early, the one Salah dinked over him. Imran thinks that Klopp needs to buy Jan Oblak at all costs. Do you think, Imran, that Jan Oblak, as good a shot stopper as he is, looks as good as he is because of the system and the defence he has built around him there at Atletico Madrid, and the defensive system that they play? I mean, they play very deep. Their defenders sit very, very deep. So there's very little for him to do except stop shots, and even if he parries them, a lot of the time his defenders are there to clear them. whereas a goalkeeper for Liverpool Football Club has to be on the front foot a lot of the time. A la the Manchester City goalkeeper Ederson, who does a spectacular job with, fuck ups in him, because we're going to get them. Whatever keeper we sign, the way we want them to play, we're going to have to accept you're going to see mistakes. Jason Johnson thinks that we should give Danny Ward a chance. And that's a very interesting topic of conversation, Jason. What I wouldn't like to see happen with Danny Ward is for his career to stagnate and for him to be just left at Liverpool to just sit on the bench and do nothing or play the odd cup game, because he deserves more than that. He deserves better than that. If the club don't think he has quite what it takes, then he deserves to go off and have a career somewhere else. We've seen how good a job he did at Aberdeen. We've seen how good a job he did at Huddersfield. Player of the season, I believe, for Aberdeen. And Connor says they're actually 44% no, 36% yes, 20% not sure on the poll. So there you go. That's in regards to the goalkeeper. But just coming back to Danny Ward, he's too good to just sit on the bench and do nothing. If he's not good enough, or Klopp doesn't believe he's good enough to be the starting goalkeeper, I understand that as well. But Danny Ward has a career as a professional goalkeeper ahead of him and deserves to go and play. So I agree that we should look to move him on. Timo Horn, I just seen flash up on the screen, somebody there. Timo Horn was a great goalkeeper, is a great goalkeeper. And the one who I wanted more than Karius from the two of Karius and Timo Horn, both, I'm not going to lie, at the time I was happy for either or. But Timo Horn is a good goalkeeper as well. Although it has stagnated a little bit, perhaps hasn't progressed as much, but that could be just where he is. What else have we got here? What do I think of Anderson Talisca as a replacement for Nabil Fekir? I did just say this earlier on there, mate. Anderson Talisca has gone to China. He signed a 6-month loan deal with excuse my pronunciation, Gangju Evergrande, if that's the right pronunciation, but he has gone there for 6 months on loan. So Talisca won't be coming to the Premier League, to Liverpool or Manchester United at the minute, mate. Strange move on his behalf as well. I mean, it was all set up for him to join the Premier League, according to the manager of Besiktas, but he's certainly gone and signed a 6-month deal in China. Imran Khan says Oblak, Trent, Virgil, Matip, Robertson, Robinho, Keita, Nabil, Mane, Salah and Firmino. That's not a bad looking team, mate. I gotta say, it's not a bad looking team at all. That's a Premier League winning team if I've ever seen one. Maverick says, I think having two goalkeepers battling it out is a recipe for disaster all around. We've seen at other clubs. I don't like this idea, by the way, of having a Champions League goalkeeper and a Premier League goalkeeper, or a Champions League goalkeeper and a La Liga goalkeeper, as we've seen with Barcelona at times in Spain. I mean, I don't get that. You have one goalkeeper who is your number one. And if he's injured, or if he gets injured and the number two comes in and the number two plays out of his skin, then he keeps the shirt. That's fair enough. I mean, whoever's playing well keeps the shirt in my eyes. But I agree. I'd rather have a number one than a number two, but a very good quality number two. But I don't believe this farting and chopping and changing nonsense. It's just not right. I've never seen it work either, if I'm being honest. Ben says a cheeky bid for Manuel Neuer. It would be some cheek, I'll say that one. I can imagine what the response from Bayern Munich would be as well. I mean, not just from Bayern Munich. I mean, he's the German poster boy, isn't he? So I can't imagine him going anywhere. Podrick said, according to Terra in Brazil, we've bid €65 million for Alisson. Yeah, Connor did put that in the chat earlier on, and if true, it's a good starting point. I'd be very interested to see if any of the Liverpool-based journalists come out and say that this is the case. But, I mean, nobody's going to complain if we bid for Alisson, are they? I think everybody's going to be happy about that news if it's true. Great stream as always. Thank you very much. Alu is how I'm going to pronounce your name if I'm incorrect. Sorry, I apologise. 80 million quid too expensive. Should have gone for Reina. He is going to AC Milan. You probably know this. I may have said it before. But he would have been a good backup option. I was all for bringing in that established goalkeeper before the Champions League final to give Karius a bit of a push and to come in behind him and cover for him. But after the Champions League final, I'm a fickle football fan like all of you guys, and I just don't want to see that ever happen again to our football club in such a big match. We need a goalkeeper who will make mistakes at times, but not to the level that we've seen. I mean, it's one thing for a goalkeeper to perhaps misplace a pass or to let a shot slip through his hands, as Karius did for the second goal. But that first goal, there's just no excusing. And I say no excusing, and I want to obviously caveat that with the possible concussion, and I have no knowledge on his medical record or anything, so I don't mean to be slagging him off in that sense. But I mean, it shouldn't have happened regardless. Podrick says, would Bayern budge with a bid for Neuer the size of bids for Alisson or Oblak? They don't need the money, so I'd say no. Bayern Munich are one of the richest and best run football clubs in the world, so no, I don't think the money would make them budge. I think you could put 100 million on the table and they wouldn't sell. They don't need the money. Ant says, breaking news, SHAQIRI close to completing move to us. David Maddock confirms not Fekir alternative and we will go back for Fekir. Thank you, Ant, for sharing the news about SHAQIRI being close to completion. I've always said, as well as you've said, David Maddox has said there, and I think most Reds have said, he was never an alternative to Nabil Fekir. He was always the little bonus, the bench strengthener, or the squad depth that we need. So good to see that happen. Luke Smalling says, Goetze, the young goalkeeper from Bayern, don't know him. Not going to lie, going to be really blunt about it, I don't know him, so I can't say. The Musk says, no one compares to Fekir in the world right now. He's a real gem. He really is, mate. I mean, he really is quality. He can... It's so frustrating, isn't it? It's so frustrating. This dude, we can smell it. We can almost see the Fekir jerseys. I agree. There is a plethora of talent out there in that position, but he just seems like a Liverpool player. To me, he just feels like a Liverpool player, and I hope to God this gets completed at some point. Jason Johnson says, get Timo Werner and use Firmino's number 10 spot. I'm sure that'll work. Timo Werner has a bright future ahead of him and a fantastic footballer. Probably end up as a replacement for Lewandowski as a guess at Bayern Munich. I mean, the big clubs like Bayern Munich like to keep the top German players there if at all possible. So, but then again, would Leipzig be willing to sell to Bayern Munich? Surely from a Leipzig point of view, they'd want to move him on, and they would want to move, or if they do want to move him on, it would be to a non-German team. I mean, why would they sell him to a rival? It would make no sense. Kira, I know your comment has gone off the screen there, but I did catch it out of the corner of my eye. What do I think of the situation at Chelsea? I'd be worried, Kira, is the honest answer. Obviously, you're probably much more knowledgeable on this than I am, you being a Chelsea fan. What's happening with Abramovich seems entirely petulant, because he can't get his visa, obviously, and he had to go and claim Israeli citizenship and to get 6 months allowance to come into the country, although I believe he can't work in the UK under that visa. To pull the funding on the stadium seems absolute madness when it was all there and ready to go. The managerial situation seems farcical. Conte's sitting around and he's unsure what's going on. They want Sarri, they don't want Sarri. They want Sarri, but they won't pay the €7 million release clause for a manager that's pretty much going to get the sack anyway, because they brought in Ancelotti. So I don't know what's going on there with Napoli and why there's a €7 million clause for a manager that is not going to be in a job. Then you've got the players, you've got Hazard sitting around, you've got the goalkeeper sitting around and just not knowing what's happening. And then you've got links with Willian, one of your brightest players. I know he doesn't start all the time under Conte, but you have links to him with Manchester United and another team. So I'd be worried, Kira, is the answer. And I'm not saying that from a purely spiteful point of view to wind you up. I genuinely would be worried until I knew what was going on with the ownership of your football club, in particular the managerial situation. And if it comes to the worst and you're stuck with Conte, I mean, Conte's a fantastic manager, so you'll never get me slagging him off. He won the league, first year in, fantastic manager, but he doesn't want to be there and Chelsea don't want him there, let's be honest. So if they can find something that suits all parties and they can get some transfer business done, great, but they need to get signings, because the year you won the league, you got away without many injuries and you had a very small squad. A very good squad, but a very small squad. So I think you were a little bit lucky, but I would be worried if I were you, Kira. And like all Chelsea fans, I would be worried. Sorry guys, gone off topic a little bit there. Philip says, breaking SHAQIRI to sign in the next 48 hours via Dave Maddock. Seems to be the case, and yeah, not a surprise. Good news. Squad depth, 12 million quid. Not going to be on huge wages, I'd imagine. Has the ability to change a game for the last 20 minutes. Pretty decent signing, but nothing to get too excited about. Although he could come in and prove us all wrong. But yeah, certainly a signing I'd have no complaints about. And I think most Reds won't, although a few may think he's not of the required level. Harvey says, Melissa Reddy spoke to the Anfield Wrap saying that Leon want to sell to us. And that every 2 months Fekir has a programme where every 2 months he rests from training, and we don't think it would last 5 years. If Melissa Reddy has come on to the Anfield Wrap, Melissa Reddy is fantastic, the Anfield Wrap are fantastic, they all know their stuff. If Melissa Reddy has come on there and said that, then Melissa Reddy knows that as a fact, because Melissa Reddy is a very well respected and well contacted journalist. So Yeah, if Melissa Reddy does say that with the Anfield rap on Fakir, then it's gospel. You can take it as gospel because she knows what she's talking about. Lots of time and lots of respect for Melissa Reddy, and of course for the Anfield rap. Finney says Nabil Fekir will sign definitely. Remember, Liverpool pulled out from the VVD and Keita deal but ended up buying him. Plus, Keita is a player that can unlock a park bus, which is Liverpool have not been able to do. Yeah, and if you can't unlock that park bus, mate, he can just drive straight through it because he's a little beast, a little monster of a player. Definitely the one I'm most excited about seeing in the new season, and I'm including Fekir in that if he signs. Naby Keita is the difference maker for me, so I'm fully in agreement with you, mate. Maverick says Chelsea have the funds to turn everything around 2 weeks before the season starts. Yeah, they do, if their owner is willing to put his hand in his pocket. I mean, this could get worse for Abramovich. The UK government could just plain refuse to let him back in. I mean, the way things are with the UK and Russian governments, you don't know what's going to happen. Abramovich could just get pissed off with it and throw it in, and Chelsea could be in big trouble. Very unlikely that will happen, but it could happen. What else have we got here? Podrick says Bruno Fernandes and Gelson Martinez for free. Would you take them? Gelson Martins I'd probably take on a free. Yeah, probably would. The thing about that Sporting Lisbon issue is I can see legal issues wherever they go. If the contracts are cancelled, I can see Lisbon, if they sign for another club, looking for some type of compensation. It just seems madness, the situation that's going on there. And I'd love to hear a legal expert speak on what's happening with them. I'll probably try and find out a little bit more. But yeah, I would definitely take one of them. There's Gelson Martins I'd probably take a gamble on, especially if we could get them for free. Lubac77 says no Touré for me, and no Touré for me as well. Absolutely no Touré for me. Kaiser HD says let's get Ericsson. Sadly, we missed the boat on Ericsson. We had the chance to sign him from Ajax, and Spurs were the only ones to put down the 10 or 12 million quid at the time to sign him. So fair play to them. They got a great player. Ant says already ready for Keita, scrapping with Herrera from the scum. Keita piss all over Herrera, Ant, mate. I mean, he will stand on Herrera, squish him like the little bug that he is. I hate Herrera. He's one player, and I don't have hatred for many Manchester United players. I dislike the club in general, but him as a player, he is just Mourinho's little antichrist on the field, is how I look at Ander Herrera. This is Jurgen Klopp, guys. Karius will still be number one next season. How many times has Lovren been terrible, but we still gave him chances, and Lovren seems to be decent with VVD as his partner. Don't underestimate what that final did to the club and to the players around him. Jurgen Klopp has to not only keep the goalkeeper happy, Jurgen Klopp has to keep the squad happy, and the squad would not like to be getting to another Champions League final and looking back in the goalposts and thinking what might happen here. I mean, it's going to take a lot for Karius to turn that squad around to get the respect. Not the respect, I'm sure he has the respect, but the confidence of that squad back. What else have we got? Ravi Bika, hi Ravi, says, let's make peace with Karius remaining as our number one. It's not going to happen. I'm going to go out on the limb and say we will be signing a goalkeeper this window. I don't know who, but I will say we're going to sign a goalkeeper that will come in as our number one. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that, and that's just my gut feeling as I say. I don't come on and lie and don't come on and pretend to have links. That's my gut feeling, and I'm going to stick to it. New goalkeeper for us. What about Koke? Oh, quality player, but no links that I've seen. Really, really good player that can do a job anywhere. I mean, he's a really talented footballer, but I just don't see any links to him. Fong Jun Meng says SHAQIRI's a decent signing. We'll give Salah and Mane a rest. Klopp can rotate the squad. Yeah, agree completely. Very good signing. I keep coming back to the 12 million quid, but I'm gonna just keep coming back to it because it's only 12 million quid for a Premier League proven player. Proven, yes, with a relegated team, but we've seen what he can do. Ben says Lazio wanting Grujic, him plus catch for Milinkovic-Savic. Oh, he is some player. I know the United fans are drooling trying to get Milinkovic-Savic, and they really want him at United as well, but I agree. And we're having Lucas at the club as well, having Lucas at Lazio. We might have a possible in there, you never know. But Milinkovic-Savic will grace any team. He's an absolute monster of a player, and wherever he goes, he's going to have a fantastic career. I hope it's not to United, but you never know. What else have we got? Ewan says, is this Alisson chat credible? My honest answer, Ewan, is I don't know, because it just broke as I was coming on here. So I haven't had time to look at my messages on my phone. I haven't had time to ask anybody about it or even read the articles. The guys on here seem to say the links are coming from Brazil, so I would take them with a pinch of salt. But until we know otherwise, the guys who said Melissa Reddy did some stuff with the Anfield Rap talking about Fekir. She didn't seem to mention anything, although it could be pre-recorded, about Alisson. So until we see Melissa Reddy, James Pearce, or Paul Joyce say something, maybe even a David Maddock, I wouldn't hold too much in it. My thoughts on being linked to Nick Pope instead of the Alissons and Oblaks. Very simple, very harsh. No, thank you. Not good enough. May well be good enough someday, but not now, not for Liverpool Football Club, not what we need. We need proven quality. We need somebody that is going to come in, command the respect of that defence, fill them with confidence, and let that back four know that he's there. He's going to help Virgil van Dijk to steer this team forward, keep that defence solid, and he's going to be the link. He's going to be there as the sweeper keeper. He's going to be there to play the ball quickly. I haven't seen Nick Pope do any of that, so a good shot stopper, yes. I mean, he was great for me in my fantasy football team last year, but it's a massive step from Burnley to Liverpool Football Club. And we spoke about Mignolet and Sunderland and how well he looked there. Big difference. So I'd say no to Nick Pope for me, but I'm not Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp knows what he wants, and if Nick Pope is what he wants, then Nick Pope is what he wants, and I'm going to see a lot of frustrated Reds for the time being, I think. And says, be interesting to see our lineup for the early pre-season games. It will, particularly with the amount of players that will still be on holidays, and we've got 8 I think at the World Cup, but these players are going to need an extended break when they come back, and I'd imagine Salah is going to get a super extended break because he's going to be exhausted. So it will be interesting to see, and the players that are at the World Cup, I mean, you'd bank Firmino going pretty far in the World Cup. Salah, with all due respect to Egypt, they'd be doing well to get to the second round. Is there anybody else there? Grujic probably not going to go all that far with Serbia. Possible second round at the furthest. Am I missing anybody massive here, guys? Chan obviously isn't a Liverpool player anymore, so Mignolet is not going to get a game. Belgium might go far, but again, he's not going to influence our pre-season too much. Ravi says Pope is a joke. I'm not sure if you mean as a player or the links, but I wouldn't quite call him a joke either way. What I would say, I wouldn't want him at Liverpool Football Club at this moment in time. Just not proven enough yet for me, and just my opinion. Neil says, please can you clear something up? If Fekir did an LFC TV interview, then a contract must have been signed before this. It's something we spoke about actually on our Cop Council podcast recently. A couple of our guys seem to think similarly to you, Neil, that a contract must have been signed. Whether that contract has been filed, or whether Leon refused to send in their part of a contract, or whatever it may be. You may well be right, but we do know that he did conduct his interview. We do know that when he was leaving wherever those interviews were conducted, he fully believed he was about to become a Liverpool Football Club player. So whoever has caused the issue, and it looks like it might be Leon at this point, he's going to be massively pissed off, and his agent is going to be wanting answers. But it's a very good point you've made. Something must have been agreed or very close to being signed for this to have gone as far as it went. And it's interesting to see how it works out from here. Aaron says, if Real bring in a keeper, then we should go for Navas. All the other keepers we're looking at are overpriced and overrated. LFC put 7 past Alisson in 180 minutes, and Oblak plays in front of a solid defence. Some good points, and Keylor Navas is a very underrated goalkeeper. People see the mistakes he has made, but he's won a lot of points for Real Madrid as well. So we've seen last year, I think it was last year when De Gea was linked to Real Madrid, Keylor Navas was linked to Manchester United. He's a good keeper. I'm not sure of his age at this point. Maybe somebody could tell me, is he in his mid-30s, early 30s? But he's certainly a quality goalkeeper and would be an improvement on Karius. But again, what money would Real Madrid want from him? That would be really interesting to see. What else have we got here? Excuse me. Carrie says, what do you think about Pickford? No links, but he is a class keeper. He's Everton's keeper, so he's clearly not good enough. No matter who. If he plays for Everton, then no Everton player has ever been good enough to play for Liverpool Football Club in my eyes. I don't like Pickford. I mean, Everton did well to get him, and he was certainly an improvement on Robles or whoever they had at the time. But I think in the modern day, you will never see a player joining Liverpool from Everton Football Club. There's no way. They wouldn't have it. Their fans wouldn't have it. He does a good job for them, and he probably deserves to be England's number one, but not for me. We had the chance to buy him before Everton bought him if we thought he was good enough. What else we got? James Shield says, Dembele on a 2-year loan. This story won't just go away. What's your thoughts? I think the 2-year loan, the reason that won't go away and the reason it keeps coming up is it's not simply just a 2-year loan. It's a 2-year loan with an agreement to buy for an agreed price at the end of the 2 years. And Barcelona are doing that because they know no club might have the money now to throw 140 odd million quid down, which is what they want. They want the money back that they paid from. I'm talking, when I say quid, I mean euros, by the way. So I think they're happy to let him go for 2 years, like we've seen Rodriguez do when he went from Real Madrid to Bayern Munich. And that would free up money on their books. And if there's a guarantee to buy him there, then obviously they can go to the banks and move their finances around and go and buy another player to come in to play with Coutinho. And maybe that'll be Griezmann or whoever it might be. But they definitely are willing, no matter what comes out of Barcelona and the nonsense that they're talking about. I fully agree, James. Barcelona are willing to let Dembele go, but it will be a 2-year loan with an option to buy for pretty much what they paid for him, which I think they believe he's worth. Now, whether a club would come in and take that 2-year loan with that agreement to buy, hope that he comes in and does brilliant and becomes the player that he's capable of becoming, and then they buy him and sell him straight on for a profit at that time, that's a risk somebody might be willing to take. Lubac says Navas is 32 years old. Thank you, mate. So he's, there's certainly 3, 4, 5 years left in him as a goalkeeper, but would you like to see him come in at 32 years of age? I'd probably rather somebody in their mid to late 20s to come in. Just a personal thing. Kaiser says, what about Ziyech? Now, Daz did actually mention Ziyech on our Cop Council podcast last night, which is on our feed, by the way. If you haven't listened, do. It's a brilliant show. There were some really funny listeners' questions at the start. We spoke about Ziyech. He's a great player. Really, really quality player. It's hard to judge anybody at Ajax, but Justin Kluivert, who looks like he's signed for Roma, I don't know if that's finished yet, but it looks like he's gone to Roma for €18 million, and Ziyech were certainly the two standout players there, so he'd be worth a gamble. He certainly would, especially for the 25 odd million, 30 million that seems to be rumoured to be the figure that will get him. I think he's definitely worth a gamble. Dybala would be a great signing, but I don't see Juve letting him go. I wouldn't be surprised. I think they would let him go for the right money. He didn't really. He was in and out of their team last year, and especially with the manager staying on for another year, I don't think he's the manager's favourite. If I'm being honest, I don't think he puts the work rate in that the manager likes, and the manager really liked playing Mandzukic, didn't he? He transformed Mandzukic into a hard working player. So I wouldn't be surprised if Dybala was available for the right money. Whether Liverpool want him or not, I mean, that's a whole other thing. Manuel Neuer, I think we'd be all delighted with that one, but it's just simply not going to happen as much as we all could want it. James Bowers, do you think it's a good idea to get an older keeper so Kyries can develop and maybe step in eventually? We did say a little bit earlier on, we spoke about Reina and such. I did think it was a good idea. Before the Champions League final, I would have been all over that. I would have said, yeah, bring in an older keeper, help him in training, push him, give him a bit of advice. But what happened in the Champions League final, and call me a hypocrite by all means, but I'm fickle, I'm a football fan, many of us are. I just don't think he's good enough anymore to be relied upon in the big games, and it doesn't come much bigger than the Champions League final. And if he did that once, and of course I will caveat that with the concussion, the incident around what happened there, I just don't know if he'll ever have the confidence of his teammates at this point, mate. I just don't know if they will ever be able to really depend on him in the big moments, in the big games going down the line. So it's tough for me to speak, obviously, for them, but not at this moment in time. But before the Champions League final, yes, I would have agreed. Lubac says Kluivert's a bargain at 18 million. He certainly is. He really is a bargain. 18 million euro as well, which is about 15 million pound. So Roma have got an absolute bargain at that price, and you'll probably see him moving on in 3 or 4 years' time for quadruple that money, if not more. Mike says it's weird that Kluivert was just sold for 18 million. If it was an English team, it would have been 40 million, and that's true. And many times we've seen that in Europe, that when a French team or a Spanish team or a German team come knocking, and I'm talking about not Real Madrid and Barcelona here, the price is much more reasonable. But when an English team comes knocking, they know the money that's in the Premier League and they know the expenditure these clubs are capable of, and the price does get inflated. And at times, the Premier League teams just have to suck it up and buy them. But you do see some bargains from time to time as well. I mean, look at the goalkeeper Newcastle have just bought. Now, obviously, I'm not saying look at him from a point of view that he's a Liverpool goalkeeper, but they got a very decent, solid goalkeeper there for like 4 million quid or something. So I do agree with you in that sense. If it was Liverpool going for him, I think we probably would have ended up paying a lot more than 18 million quid. Ahmed said, would Pulisic be able to adapt to a number 10? Yes, but probably with a bit more age and experience. He certainly has the raw ability, and that guy would probably come with more big game experience, and getting to know his teammates is important as well, and getting to know the runs and the positions that the front three take up if he was to drop in behind. But I would say yes, I would think Pulisic would certainly be capable to play as number 10 in the future. What else have we got? Podrick says apparently Mundo Deportivo reporting Alisson as well. Interesting. So there's a couple of papers now. Are they just maybe they're just quoting the Brazilian link? I don't know, but I'm looking forward to when I come off here having a read and seeing what's happening and seeing if I can get some concrete information. Maverick says, did you guys hear that Sporting Lisbon may release 3 of their players? We spoke about it earlier on, buddy. You might have just missed it. It seems like they have sent in resignation letters by the looks of things from when they're away with the international team. They seem to have sent in resignation letters. God, I can't get that word out. Excuse me. I believe there was incidents that happened. The owner's a bit of a nutcase apparently, and I think they were attacked by fans at the training complex at one point as well. I'm not hugely up on this yet, but whatever's going on there at Sporting Lisbon, it's a mess and it looks crazy. And I keep saying, and I see the next Music Man suggest the same, that Gelson Martins is on a free. I'd be wary about any of these players being on a free. We might hear the contracts are being cancelled and stuff, but I just have a feeling if clubs walk in and just cherry pick them and just take them, you're going to see Sporting Lisbon probably lodge some type of legal challenge for compensation or something. It would make sense. It just seems crazy. Or even the clubs challenging the players for compensation, which then the players may look to the purchasing clubs to pay for it. It seems too good to be true, if you get where I'm coming from. Cam says Klopp can take SHAQIRI to the next level. I agree, and if not all the way up to the heights, of our other front three, certainly enough to make a difference, and certainly enough to be a game changer at times when he comes on, and give the front three a rest from time to time when they need it. So I agree. I think for 12 million quid, again, keep coming back to that figure. You can't go wrong taking a gamble at 12 million quid. Luke says they terminated the contracts after they got attacked by fans in training. Yeah, but is it that simple? Is it that simple to just terminate contracts? I don't know. I've never signed a professional football contract, so I couldn't tell you. But I'm certainly going to watch with interest to see what happens here. Phil says Liverpool go back for Fekir after the World Cup. David Maddock. Again, interesting to see what happens. There's technically probably no need to leave it till the World Cup is over though, because if the medical's done and they have his medical results and they've got the interviews done, then it's just a matter of negotiating with Leon, which could technically be done anytime, I suppose. So yes, maybe this contract, if it hasn't been signed, might have to wait after the World Cup, but I'd say the negotiation could certainly be done between the World Cup, the end of the World Cup and now. What else have we got? What time have we got? 11 o'clock. I'll do another 10 or 15 minutes, guys, and then I'm going to have to head off if that's okay. Talisca loan to Benfica to Guangzhou Evergrande for 6 months. Funny goings on there after going on loan to Besiktas. Yeah, we spoke about that earlier on as well. It seemed like a crazy move for a player that was linked to some pretty big clubs, Liverpool, Manchester United, and certainly to the Premier League, particularly from his manager at Besiktas. He said that he's Premier League bound, so for him to go to China for 6 months, it certainly seems like a strange move. The Junior 2017 says Alisson looks good, SHAQIRI happening after the World Cup, and Fekir probably still on. I've no idea if SHAQIRI will happen after the World Cup, mate, or if it's going to happen sooner. It will happen by the looks of it. I mean, all the links seem to be there for it to happen. Fekir possibly still on, and I hope so. Like all of you guys, I'd love him to come. Music Man says, sure, FSG love an Owl Tribunal. I love that play on words, mate. Well done. That they do like an owl drama as well, don't they? I have to say. we have a nickname for him on our podcasts for Olas, for the Leon chairman, and again, cover your ears if you don't like bad words, but we call him Johnny Cuntylocks on our podcast because he's just a pain in the arse to deal with. Ahmed says Liverpool and Fekir just has to happen. He'll become an Anfield legend. He will. I think the fans will take to him straight away because he's very emotional. He really feels the game. He's a player who likes to play in that atmosphere, and I think Anfield he'll thrive in, especially on the European night. And I think the fans will take to him as well. So I think you're right. I think they're a match that will be very well made. Lee says Arsenal are front runners for Gelson, Martins, and yeah, I wouldn't. As I said, I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, he's a good player, so anybody that gets him is getting a decent player. We were linked with him a while back. Don't know how serious the links were, but Arsenal are certainly trying to bring in players, and by the looks of it as well, they seem to be trying to do it on the cheap, don't they? They don't seem to have that much money to spend. I think it was a 50 million quid was rumoured to be the amount he had to spend there. RetroUlams.com says the silence from LFC regarding Fekir makes me suspicious that all is not how it's being portrayed by the press. Even the press close to the club are suspiciously quiet, and that's true. They are. Nobody, as I keep saying, the Joyces, the Reddies, the Pierces, they haven't really come out and said much on this. Although the guys have just said that Melissa Reddy spoke on the Anfield Wrap about possibly the Fekir deal not being finished, and that he had some agreement or arrangement where he rested every so often at Lyon, and the club were maybe a little bit worried that he mightn't be up to the rigours of the Premier League. And Melissa knows her stuff, so if that's what she said, then it is true. Tutsi89 says Brazilian outlet Terra claim Liverpool have launched a $285 million dollar, I don't know what that is, offer for the 25-year-old, which works out at £57 million. And we've seen that a few people have mentioned that, mate, and I think a couple of other news agencies have picked up on it as well. Be very interesting to see if that's the case. Again, we're not seeing anything from the Liverpool journals or the Liverpool friendly journals, if you want to call them that. And until I see it from those boys, I'm very, very dubious because we've seen us linked to so many players. And sometimes I think the Alisson stuff is wishful thinking, and then sometimes I think, you know what, there might be some rumours or might be some truth to these rumours. So certainly interesting to see what happens. But we may just see a goalkeeper come out of nowhere as well, like we did with Fabinho. We love players after a saga more, Navigator, VVD, etc. We do. But the way we've gone about our business for other players recently has been a little bit different, hasn't it? The way we got Navigator, by the way, was immensely clever. I mean, we outbid other clubs from, and we gave him back for a year just because he's a player Klopp really wanted to secure. So really looking forward to seeing him at Liverpool. Ravi says, I hope the Red Sox are enjoying the Coutinho cash. I don't know, I take it you're an FSG out guy, but if you truly believe that the Boston Red Sox have any of the Coutinho cash, then you're completely wrong. They are in no way linked. The Boston Red Sox are more than capable of producing their own money. The money for Felipe Coutinho was there for Klopp to spend. FSG haven't taken a damn penny out of Liverpool Football Club, so, Ravi, I just find that a strange thing to say, mate. Whether you like FSG or not, that's just not right. It's just not correct. The junior says hopefully they accept 65 million for Alisson. We shouldn't pay the full 80. A 65 million euro would be a pretty decent piece of business. Yeah, I'd agree. I think most of us would be happy that the club got the fee down a little bit there and got a decent fee. What's that, around £57 million, £58 million? So I think that's a figure everybody, our side, would certainly be happy with. But obviously a selling club are going to try and get what they get and as much as they can. Luke Small says, every 2 months Fekir has to rest from training. Yeah, see, you can understand why that might ring alarm bells for Liverpool, especially in a league that's infinitely more physical and demanding than the French league. And I'm not slagging off the French league, I just mean with the heat over in France sometimes the tempo of play mightn't be up to as much as the Premier League. When the Premier League is a bit cooler, the players can probably push a little bit more. And it's probably a much more competitive league as well to an extent. But it would be interesting to see what input the strength and conditioning team and the doctors have had in Klopp's ear on that one, because yeah, we don't need another injury prone player. It's so tough because the want is certainly there from Klopp, from the fans, from Liverpool obviously as well. So we all hope, don't we, Luke? We all hope, mate, that it can get done if Fekir is a red. Maverick says, as far as I can see, there's still plenty of time to get deals done. We're no worse than anybody else. We've got some good business done already. Yeah, we've certainly we're no far off at all. Ravi says, kidding mate, the Fekir collapse has got me depressed. You're not alone, buddy. You really aren't. I mean, don't think it's over, I'll say that much, but we were so close that, yeah, I think many of us feel a little bit disheartened at this moment in time, but you know what, the future's bright for this football club, so don't let it get to you too much, mate. Fekir is literally the only Coutinho replacement near this level other than Dybala or Isco. We have to get this one over the line, and we will. I think there's a lot of positivity amongst the fan base that it might be done, but if it's not done, there will be another target, and we've got second targets before. Mane was second target, or played second fiddle, I suppose, in the transfer to the Goitza, didn't he? And we got him, and look how well he's after doing. So Klopp knows what he's at, so I wouldn't worry about it too much if we don't get him. But it would be nice to get Fekir. If we don't get him, it's going to be purely a medical thing. I don't think it'll be a financial thing. RetroUnilim.com says LFC will keep transfer leaks watertight after what happened with VVD last year. I agree. We certainly are trying to keep things as tight as we can, and we've seen it before. We've seen when Van Dijk was actually announced, nobody had it. Nobody heard a damn thing about it, that he was in Liverpool, that he'd done medical, nothing, until James Pearce, I think it was, tweeted, and then all of a sudden he was there holding a shirt underneath his Christmas tree. And again with Fabinho, nobody had a sniff, and he was there, signed, sealed, delivered, done and dusted, and we were all happy. So yeah, there's nothing nicer than a transfer just go, oh, that's done, is it? Oh Jesus, that's great, isn't it? He's done, there he is holding his shirt, that's brilliant, sure, we'll have him. So I agree, that's just a great way of doing business. The Junior says, supposedly LFC are fuming after release picture of the interview, and I don't blame them, and I'm sure they are, because why wouldn't they be? I mean, yeah, they would be, and I'm sure Leon weren't that impressed either, and possibly even Fekir, but you don't know. It's so easy to leak anything these days, isn't it? So many people in and around the photo shoot and stuff like that, that all it takes is one person to take one slide photo, set up a fake Twitter account, put it out there, and it's there for the world to see. So it's so hard to keep leaks at this point. Louis says, to be honest, if Fekir doesn't come in, think about it, we still have Fabinho, Naby Keita and the front three. We absolutely do, mate. And Naby Keita, I keep coming back to him, but he's the one I'm most excited about seeing in the red shirt. I can't wait to see him in our midfield. He's got that steel that I think we've been lacking in midfield. And we're going to see an even better Virgil van Dijk next season. We've seen him improve as the season went on this year. Obviously, he didn't come in with full fitness. He's had a massive impact on the rest of the back four, but I think we're going to see the best of him next season, the more he feels comfortable in that role as well. I think just a couple more guys before I finish. Maverick says, we don't get Fekir. Alternatives includes Jesus Tecatio, excuse me if I pronounced that wrong, Leon Bailey and Hakim Ziyech. Ziyech as well, as I said, Dal spoke about on the Cop Council podcast. Really good player, 25-30 million I think being quoted, although if that's the price to Italy, and maybe it's different for the Premier League clubs, I don't know. Leon Bailey, a very exciting player. Was he the one? He was the one that I said earlier on that was at Ghent last year as well, so he's after coming a long way in a short period of time, so imagine what Klopp can do to keep progressing his career if he came in. What else have we got? Guys, I keep saying this as well, and I know it's not nice to hear, and you don't like people hounding you, but if you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do. It really helps us grow the channel, it helps us get our numbers up, helps us reach more reds as well. So if you haven't already done so, please take a moment, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us, and you're going to get lots of great content. You get all our podcasts on here. The Cop Council from last night is already uploaded and they're waiting, and you'll get notifications of all the new content we put up, and there will be a lot of it over the summer. So just a heads up, if you haven't already, please do hit the subscribe button. What have we got here? If we can alternate between frequently injured Fekir to frequently injured Ox, I wouldn't be bothered as long as one of them is healthy. I think you're trying to say something nice there in a roundabout kind of way, and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain has been tremendous since he joined Liverpool Football Club, and nobody was more disappointed to see him injured than all the Liverpool fans, I think, because he'd done a lot. He'd won everybody over. He was very media savvy. He'd done some lovely little touches that given that kid his shirt and him and his father tickets to the Champions League final, even though he wasn't playing himself. It just tells you the mark of the man. Ox has won us all over, I think, and he's a tremendous footballer. He's still got a great future ahead of him. Jurgen Klopp loves him by the looks of things. The players love him. He's a great addition. Somebody who obviously we mightn't have for the first 3 or 4 months of the season, so if we can have a Fekir or somebody in there, it would be just great, wouldn't it? And how nice is it, guys, to talk about this, by the way, to talk about all the positives, all the good players that are at Liverpool Football Club at the minute, how bright the future looks for us. The Junior 2017 says, Alisson, Fekir, Lascelles and SHAQIRI is my dream window. What's yours? The first two are the same. Alisson and Fekir, dream window. SHAQIRI, I 100% agree with and understand why we're going for. And you know what? I'd probably go with Lascelles as well. So you're probably as close to mine as well. I'd probably be almost exactly the same. I'd probably like to be a little bit greedy maybe. And who would I add in there as well? I'd probably like to see another young attacking player, or another gamble of a 10-15 million quid attacking player like that Moses Simon guy, although not necessarily him, but that's just me being greedy. But I think the four names you've mentioned there I'd be very happy with as well, along with Fabinho obviously and Keita, who've already come in. Kilfreyer says, love the Ox, love Fekir already, but I think they play in the same spot. Both of them are a bit versatile though, aren't they? I mean, we know that Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain has played at wing-back for Arsenal before. We know he's played in the midfield, and we know he's certainly capable of playing further up front. And I think with Fekir, you'll see that he's capable of dropping a bit deeper, and he's capable of playing across the front three. So I think they're both two very versatile players, although maybe Oxlade-Chamberlain a little bit more so in a defensive sense, but two great additions to have to the squad if that's the case with Fekir coming in. But I'd be delighted to have them both. Maverick says, please hit the subscribe. Let's get it today. At least 50 before the end of the stream. That would be amazing. Yeah, I'm sure lots of you guys have subscribed, and as Maverick said, it means a lot to us, so please do hit it. What else have we got? Ahmed Riscard says, the way he drove to tackle Kolarov shows his commitment. I take it we're talking about Andy Robertson here, because Andy Robertson is the business. I absolutely adore Andy Robertson. Luke Smalling says, I've got to go with your nightmate, sack race, Robbo or Klopp. Robbo, all day long. Just like Ahmed said, Robbo, the way he chased Kolarov down was just amazing. And I love Andy Robertson. 8 million quid, a Kevin Stewart swap, Andy Robertson sorting out the left back position for the next 5, 6, 7 years. Top notch, can't go wrong. What else we got before we finish up to do? Kill for Hire said, I sub. Thank you, mate. I'm probably pronouncing your name incorrectly, but I'm just trying to figure out the last word. Kill for Hire. Sorry, got that now. Excuse me. Kill for Hire. I sub. Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. Podrigo Driscoll says, who's this Junior? Who supports Liverpool? I don't know who Junior is, by the way, either. So, is he here in the chat somewhere? James Maddison will be on loan back to Norwich for another Premier League club. I don't know, mate. There's often a few other fans come in here and try and stir shit a little bit, and I just tend to ignore them if possible. So, I don't know. I don't know is the honest answer. You know what, guys? I think I'm probably going to leave it there for tonight. It's getting a bit late. Unless there's anything else version that comes up. Jimenez and Van Dijk would be a perfect partnership at the back. He's a great quality defender. Retro Unilim says he'd take Dembele on a 2-year loan. It's the effect now that means more. I mean, I wouldn't say no to him if he was to come in. And Paul Curzon says, anyone heard anything about Moses Simon? Other than the fact I've said that I know we looked at him and I know we've looked at and tracked him for the past couple of seasons, no, I haven't heard anything else on him. And any more talk of Sessegnon? Very interesting point, actually. Sessegnon, will he stay with Fulham? Because he's after getting promotion. I think you probably see him do another season with Fulham. If they hadn't got promoted, he would have most likely left. I know Spurs were trying to push very hard to sign him. And I know Liverpool, and like every other club, I don't think there'd be a club in the Premier League who wouldn't take a punt on Sessegnon at this point. He's quality. He can play anywhere along the left-hand side. Probably more suited to a forward role, but he has played at left back. I haven't heard anything, but he'd be a dream. An absolute dream signing. Yeah, he'd be quality. He's a player who supports Liverpool. If we're talking about Sessegnon, he doesn't. He's Fulham born and bred. But I do think his father or his agent, somebody close to him, is a massive Liverpool fan. But as far as I know, he came up to the Fulham youth team. He's a Fulham born and bred guy, Fulham player, Fulham fan. But I think he does have somebody close to him who's crazy about Liverpool. So there's certainly an in there for us if we need one. You know what, guys? I really am. I'm going to call it a night now. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in and watching. Keep an eye out. If you haven't listened to last night's Cop Council podcast, it's on the feed down there. Give it a listen. It was really fun, really good. Some great topics, some good laugh. And we have listeners' questions on there as well. which were great last night. And we'll have our World Cup podcast coming up tomorrow, and then our transfer podcast will be up on Thursday. And I'll try and get on in between that as well for another live stream. Until next time, thank you all for watching. Retro Unilim says he subscribed. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate it. And Podrick says, nice one, man. Look, thank you to all of you guys for taking the time to come on and watch and interact. It means a lot to us. Until next time, up the Reds, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.